Rise now, and serve me and the world. Rise now.
What's going on, folks? I'm recording this the day after Christmas, so I hope your holiday went well. And my gift to you this holiday season is a game called Voin that you might want to put on your wish list and keep an eye on. Now, shout outs to the good folks at Tinybuild who were kind enough to bless me with the code for this. So we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and everything in between. So let's get into it. Now, Voin is a mix of a few things. It is, of course, a hack and slash action game. As you can see, I'm severing limbs, cutting off arms and heads, and all of that good stuff. But also has some roguelite elements going on, a little bit of, little sprinkles of RPG going on in here. Got some extraction elements going on. And also worth of note that this game was created by one singular dev. So shout outs to that gentleman, because that is pretty impressive. Even with the flaws of this game in mind, I still think that's a nice feat that they've managed to pull even this off as one singular person. But the basics of Voin that you'll get to experience in the early access is that you're this unnamed warrior who's been summoned and or created by some god or master of sorts, and he's sending you out to these various lands to kill a bunch of monsters. And not really sure why you're doing what you're doing, because in the early access we're not given much in terms of lore, which I do think is one of the negatives. Not to lead with the negative, but since we're here, I'll just talk about it. Very light on lore and like story, so there's not a good enough sense of progression, because you don't really know why you're doing what you're doing. You're just kind of there. You're just kind of thrown into a world, and there's clearly lore here, but you're just not really given information about a lot of it. But with that said, you will be exploring two different areas, one called Necrosever, one called Hadrocon. And while you're exploring these areas, you're going to be finding new weapons. You're going to be fighting different kinds of monsters. You'll be finding loot, so you'll be finding things like runes, necklaces, and things that give you like passive, traits, passive abilities. You'll find the runes give you like elemental abilities, so you'll have things like lightning, fire. Some weapons have like poison effects on them. I like the different assortment of weapons. We got swords. We got hammers, we got dual wielding swords, and all weapons have like different speeds. They let you know when you're on the menu. Some weapons are fast, some are slow, some are super fast. Some of the faster ones might be a little weaker, so they're trade-offs, and there are trade-offs and advantages and disadvantages of every weapon. But I do like the different assortment you have, and I like the loot that you get. The loot is actually pretty effective. You can have some pretty powerful, builds even in just this early access. I feel like I don't remember what the item was, but I had a fire thing that had my sword set ablaze, and I was going crazy. I was going crazy out there. I was one-shotting people, man. It was glorious. But yeah, I like the different abilities in the combat. I think that feels really good, and that's a core important part of the gameplay. So I think they nailed that, and all of the things you collect in the loot feels effective. Now, what you're gonna do a lot of the times is after a run, because these are kind of runs, you basically go into these worlds, you explore, you fight a bunch of monsters, and hopefully you don't die. Either you complete the area, and then you end up back at the home base, or if you feel like you're about to die and you just want to grab the loot you got and get out, you can literally look to the sky. You can summon a portal. You got to make it back to the portal, because the portal is not going to be exactly where you are. They're going to place it kind of somewhere else, and you need to make it to the portal, and that sends you back to the home base. And when you're at home base, this is where you do things like upgrade yourself. So they have like a molten cathedral. You go to the cathedral. You can cleanse your weapons, because a lot of the items that you're going to find when you're on your runs, they're going to be corrupted. So you got to take them back to the cathedral. Then you can cleanse them. You can upgrade the items that you have equipped, as well as upgrade your weapons. And there's a place called the Hall of Reflection, where you basically just go level up. So they have these little blood currencies. I forgot exactly what they're called, but if you have enough of those, you can level yourself up and make yourself stronger. So I got to level 5, maybe 6, while I was out playing the early access, and I was pretty strong. I was mowing through a lot of these enemies. Now, if you do feel like it's too easy, You can go to an area in the main hub where you can adjust the difficulty, and not just, you can adjust like different aspects of the difficulty. So you can adjust like the volume of enemies and how aggressive they are. It's a really good system. I think they needed in this early access build. It's a good system overall, but I'm glad they put that in the early access because, like I said, it is kind of light on content, so it at least gives you some incentive to kind of like play this again. The areas aren't super big. Necro Sever's the first area. That one's pretty short and straightforward. Got a couple crypts you'll get to go into, and then you'll get to fight a boss and a mini boss. Hadrocon is a larger area, a little more to explore there, a little more to do, a little more things to find. One other thing you'll be finding that I forgot to mention is an item called a Mote of Power, and these pretty much you spend these to give yourself special attacks. So in addition to your regular attack, you have a regular attack, a charge attack. You also have these special attacks that you can use once you get the Mote of Power. So the 3 that you'll have access to, you got one where you can throw the weapon and it'll like spin in a circle. You got a ruined activation one, and you got my favorite, the step back, where you kind of step back, you're flying in the air, and then you lunge forward with a stab. And what's really cool about the step back is there are certain like items you can find that'll change aspects of your special moves. So like I had some kind of item, I don't remember what it was, but when I did my step back, there were like 3 of me in the air. So when I did the lunge, it like tripled the strength of my attack, which was, that was fire, man. I really like that. I like the abilities and the combat in here. I think they did a pretty good, I say the one person. I think the one dev did a good job on the combat in here. My main negative is that I like the concept of what we got as far as going around in these open worlds and kind of exploring and finding loot, going on runs, trying to make it back to home base. But there isn't a whole lot to do. Like I got through this, I feel like I did pretty much everything there is to do within like 3 hours. Like the second world, Hadrocon, is a little larger, a little more to do there in terms of exploration, but it still won't really take you that long. So, and I know this is an early access build, but there is kind of like this sense of, there's not a great sense of progression, because you don't get much in terms of story, and after a while, it won't take long, you'll kind of just feel like you're just doing the same things over and over again. They have a decent amount of enemy variety, but not a ton, so you'll do everything there is to do in I feel like a pretty short amount of time. Now the one good thing is they do have on the main menu, I believe there's a kind of like a map of what the dev is envisioning for the game, so you can kind of look at the different benchmarks the dev wants to hit during certain time periods. So, and the time map kind of addresses some issues I have in terms of world building. So they are planning on adding additional areas for you to go to, adding more lore, adding different enemies, which I also wanted to see, because there's a decent amount of enemy variety here, but I feel like there could be more, but that is also addressed on that menu. I'll make sure to put that on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. But the map, the map giving the time of what they want to do with the game does address some of the issues I have. So I really hope that they can really follow through on like the story and the lore, because I think the core gameplay and the core elements, those work pretty well. I don't have a big issue with any of those. Of course, they can always be tightened and refined, but like the basics and the foundation for something good is definitely here. But it's got to be expanded on. It all has to come together. And I feel like it's missing some of the other elements that you need for like a full, complete experience. So for now, I would say put this on your wish list. It is an early access for you to purchase. You can judge on your own based on this review and any other review you watch about whether or not you think this is enough content, if it's worthy of purchasing an early access. I feel like if you purchase it, you're mainly just supporting an indie dev, which isn't a bad thing. If you want to do that, definitely do that. But just wanted to give you like an honest assessment that there isn't a ton of content here. It's not like a Hades thing where you're going on a bunch of runs and every run you still feel like there's more to the story being added. That's not really happening here. You're kind of just going to be doing the same things over and over after a while. But it is a good start. And like I said, the foundations of a good game is definitely here. I will definitely be keeping my eye on this. I want to see this progress, and I want to see this get better. So I think there's a ton of potential here, man. I think the game looks great. The audio design is good. The gameplay is good. Like I said, the fact that one person did this, I think, is pretty impressive. Because like I said, the foundation of everything is here. It just all needs to. We got to get that world building. We got to get the story and all of the other elements, got to come together, and then we can really say we have something. But I think Voin is dope, and at the very least, I would say put it on your wish list if this looks interesting to you, and just keep your eye on it. But if you want to buy it, support it, any dev, I'm definitely not going to stop you there. But that is all I have for today's video. My name is Serial Sensei. Y'all stay safe, y'all stay hydrated, and I will catch y'all on the next video.